Okay. Um, Hi, Steve. I think he's the last one who connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Today, I think we'll not get many people. Yeah. Um, so after the convening, I think Adetayo's team and the Vash tried to do something. And I know the Vash had done a number of tasks. If he's willing to share with us some details, Devash, over to you.
Hello, thank you, Mansi. Uh, hello everyone. I have been working on this TPP consent requests route. So, taking the inspiration from the TPP account requests route, I have configured this route and created the post request. So, I have been working on this issue ticket 4174. So,
Devash, I was going to ask
I
if you could put the ticket on, share your screen with the tickets, please, so we can see what you've been
uh,
working on, if you can.
yes, just a second. Yeah, yeah. Please give me a second. I will open the uh, link.
Yeah,
Thank
sure,
you.
no rush, no rush.
So yeah, nothing else. Just I have been working on this, and I have created the post request for this because based on this diagram, I have created this post request. Means I was not able to send the request from the TTK to TPP API service. The simulated DFSP we have in TTK. So I was not able to do that. So Shashi helped me to make the changes and he committed few changes to my forked repo and he helped me to configure this post request. Now as I got the flow, I will configure the put request and the dispatch request, this 30 and 31. So and then we'll start working on another issue, which is regarding the consent this which is regarding this route. So this route will be completed in within next week, I guess, and I will configure these three routes. I will make it running on TTK, and we'll start working on another issue. So this is my plan, and this is what I have done. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Devash.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
any questions? If you
Okay.
if you have any questions, I can answer.
Yeah. No question for me. I think if you need
Yeah.
some help, probably I can link you to the Tails team so that we probably, because they have willing people to help on this, or if you have some
Mhm.
pending things, they are ready to be onboarded and carry on.
Yes. Okay. So I will
Mm.
ping you regarding any doubts
Yeah. Okay.
if I want to configure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Manzi.
So, welcome. Yeah.
I see Sam has
So,
joined the call as well. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, Paul. And Mansi, sorry for being late.
yeah, it's okay. So, Divash was showing us what he did on consent and briefed him to also involve a detail if he needs more more people to help. And Adetayo has a team ready to be briefed on how things are done within our way of coding so that they can start executing some tasks. Sam, when are you free to take them on? Probably a session of some an hour with them. then we can see.
Sure, yeah. Let's plan for something next week, Manzi. I mean, it's Good Friday tomorrow, so yeah, happy to
Yeah,
do
I
something.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week.
Thank you
Yeah,
very much, Sam. Yeah.
I know there
Okay.
might be some issue with the working hours. When are the team members available at the time? Uh,
I guess I would just, Sam, do you have an online calendar that you can share so that that way they can find suitable slots? Is that something that works for you?
Yeah, I don't have it, but I'll provide you some slots on Slack. We can work around that. I mean, our team is usually flexible,
Okay.
but we try to work in the UTC hours, so
Okay,
they
great.
should.
All right. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you. Yeah, that one is, I think, short. Apart from briefing at the Tiles team, for the next one, I will also onboard the next one. I think what we have is just to be execute as much as possible. During the next session, we see how far we are so that we can judge from the objectives we set for this PI. For now, I don't have any other update unless anyone has a burning idea to share with us. Thank you.
I took as an action at our last meeting. Sorry, if nobody else has anything to add, I took as an action at our last meeting to go away and think about split payments. I did that. Of course, I always do what I promise. And I've got a sequence diagram which proposes a way of doing split payments in Mojaloop. I'm happy to talk through it in brief if you would like me to now.
Please go ahead.
Okay, in that case,
Yeah.
I will share my screen. Okay, you seen that?
Yes.
So I will just take you through this. Now, you will see that we've got a payer, payers PISP, sender DFSP, Mojaloop switch, and over here, three credit institutions, the stadiums DFSP, the tax DFSP, and the PISP's bank. And that's because that's essentially based around the example that we talked about where somebody buys a ticket to a sporting event, or in this case, a poetry slam, and some of the payment goes to the operator, some of it goes to the government in the form of tax, and some of it goes to the PISP in the form of commission. So the other thing I have is what I call a split payment manager. And that's really because I wanted to encapsulate the split payment functionality in a component which I envisaged could either be located at the switch or could be located at a participant. So I didn't want to make a decision in advance as to whether this was going to be something that DFSPs would use and would form part of their connection to the switch, or something that would be at the switch so that people could use it, whether or not they had their own thing. So we start off here and say these are the conditions that we want. So debit of $200 on their statement, $100 a ticket, worth it for a poetry slam, I think you'll agree. The credit party should be shown as a PISP. So when the customer looks at their statement, they want to see I paid $100, $200 to Poetry Slam Enterprises. They don't want to see something that says I paid this amount to the stadium, this amount to the tax people, and this amount to the PISP for commission. They just want to say I paid a single amount because I paid it for this ticket. We don't want to require any escrow accounts or special arrangements. We don't want people to have additional financial arrangements in order to manage this. So PSP's bank will be credited with a fee, and the rest of the money will be split between the stadium's DFSP and the tax's DFSP. So my assumption is there's a distinct PISP type. Now, at the moment, as you know, PISPs have special relationships per account with DFSPs that says this PISP is able to remove funds from this person's account because this person has agreed it. For this use case, that won't work because essentially what we want is for, I mean, rather like, you know, when you go on to Amazon or something like that, you say Amazon should be able to say to your bank, whichever bank it is, please deduct from Mike's account. So we don't want a special relationship needing to be set up with every DFSP in the scheme. We want something that enables this to be an ad hoc arrangement. I'm assuming that the API vehicle is ISO 20022, and the reason I'm assuming that is because it's much easier to represent these things in ISO 20022 than it is to represent it in FSPL. Now, if we decide we're going to go ahead with that, then we should think about, well, obviously we will need to go back and think about what the FSPI op structures should look like. But for the moment, I just assumed it was ISO 20022. I assume that the initiating message is an ISO 20022 RTP message, which is the pane 013. And in the group header, because each ISO 20022 message has a group header and then the credit transfer transactions. And you can have multiple credit transactions in a single message, which is what is the important point here. So in the group header, the initiating part is the PISP and the control sum is 200. There's one set of payment information in the message, with the debtor being the customer, and the debtor agent being the customer's DFSP, and service level indicator is set to say this is a split payment. And there are three, we want there to be three credit transfers in the payment information. First of all, 150 to the stadium's DFSP, second 30 to the tax DFSP, and last 20 to the PISP's bank. And in each case there, the debit party is the payer's account of their DFSP. So one of the things, it's an open question at the moment, we will need to figure out is what the business process is by which any customer can authorize a payment of their account to the PISP. I suggest further down a way of doing that, but it's something we will need to think about probably at a strategic level, what we think the best way of managing this, or whether we think there should be more than one way of managing it. Okay. Now, the other thing we need to do is, I assume for the moment that the business application header, the ISO 20022 business application header, will support multiple signatures. At present, it doesn't. It's a question that is currently being discussed at the ISO 20022 technical support group, but there is no decision made on that yet. So it's something that we can expect to be able to do. And it's a simple thing from the perspective of our API to do. We just turn the signature into an array instead of a single entity. But we will need to make sure that we comply with whatever the ISO 20022 people decide to do. I mean, among whom I'm happy to count myself, of course. So each credit transfer in the original pane 013, will become a separate credit transfer in the message that the DFSP sends out in order to get the agreement of terms. And as I say, every credit transfer in the PAX message will have an associated signature in the business application header. Now, one of the things that signatures in the business application header allow for is that you can specify which items in the body of the message the signature refers to, and this makes use of that functionality. So essentially, what we're saying is, and you'll see how this works out later on, each credit transfer will have its own signature applied to it. So we now send to the switch to say, please obtain the agreement of terms. The switch says this is a split payment, so it sends off to the split payment manager over here to say, please manage the split payment process for this message. And the split payment manager stores the message for later use, and it creates an agreement of terms request for each credit transfer in the original request. And the signature signs only the credit transfer object. So the receiving DFSPs will need to be capable of managing partial signatures. I would tell what I mean partial signatures. What I mean is signatures which only refer to one part of a whole document. So then sends it back to the switch, and the switch sends off to the various creditor DFSPs to obtain agreement of terms. So each of the creditor DFSPs, here we're looking at the stadium, says it agrees the terms, signs the credit transfer object, its credit transfer object, because each creditor DFSP only has one, and it returns it back. The switch says, pass that over to the split payment manager, and if we've got all of the terms agreed, then obviously we do something else. But no, we still have some to go. So we send it off to the tax authority, and we send it off to the PISP's account holder. So now we're in the situation where we've processed all of the elements, and each of the elements has a signature by the creditor party, a verifiable signature by the creditor party saying, I agree with this particular credit transfer, this particular payment. So we've got three separate payments, one to each, and a signature for each payment from the DFSP. So the payment manager, split payment manager, now creates a message to the sender DFSP which contains the signatures for each credit transfer and the credit transfers themselves as a set of three approved messages. So that then goes back to the to the purchaser's DFSP, and confirmation of terms, the split payment, it'll have a signature for each part signed by the DFSP, and each part of the payment will also have its own condition. Okay. Now, we need to authorize the payment. We assume that the PISP is going to do that for these purposes. So let's say the customer's DFSP sends an OTP to the purchaser, and the PISP gets a message saying, please ask the customer to authorize this payment by entering the OTP. They enter the OTP, it goes back to the DFSP, their DFSP, and that says, yeah, the customer really did authorize this payment because the OTP which I sent to their phone, they entered in the PISP application. So now we say, please execute this split payment. Now, we essentially go through a similar sort of process for execution. Right? We do a liquidity check on the whole amount because the debtor party is the same for everybody. And essentially the question we want to ask is, do they have enough credit? Do they have enough liquidity to process the whole amount? Okay, I didn't put that in there, but I should have done. So now we execute the first credit transfer. It goes to the stadium's bank, and the stadium says it's a split payment, so I will approve it, but I shouldn't complete the transfer until I get confirmation, because this is a partial a part of a split payment. So essentially, it sends back a reserved status saying I approve the payment or this part of the payment, but I won't actually credit the my customer yet. So now we go back again to the tax authorities, and we go back again to the PISP's bank to store the commission. So now the situation we've got is we've processed them all. We need to confirm the success to payee 1, payee 2, and payee 3. Then we construct the complete execution message with the fulfillments in each of the responses, send it back to the payer's DFSP. Now that's complete. The payer's DFSP can debit the customer's account, and you can go back to the original PISP and say, congratulations, you've paid, here are your tickets for the Poetry Slam. And that's how I think split payments could work in Mojaloop. Any comments or questions?
Thank you, Michael. So it means if one of the three credited DFSPs fail to confirm, the whole transaction will not be successful.
That's correct. That will be the responsibility of the split payment manager.
Okay. Yeah.
But as I say, the fact that we can identify a payment as being a split payment means that we can still have the functionality in bulk payments that says, if one payment fails, I still want to do all of the others, but not in split payments, because split payments will always work in this way. If any part of the payment fails, then the whole payment will fail.
Paul, what do you think about this?
I'm very happy with it. And thank you to Michael for putting in the effort to think about this and produce this flow. It's great. I think we need to understand the priorities. At what point does somebody implement this? We have a bunch of user stories already, all of which need implementing to implement and verify the PISP 2.0 interface, and presumably this would be next on the priority list for implementation once that's all in place.
Yeah.
What do people think?
My feeling is that next on the priority list for PISP is probably going to be bulk rather than this split payments. But I mean,
You are probably right. You're probably right.
Depends on implementers' priorities.
Yeah. Bulk is always at the back of our mind, I think.
Indeed.
I think that, Manzi, we need to look at the backlog, the remaining stories for this work stream. We need to make sure that the ones that are there already are assigned to people in this work stream. And we need to make sure that both, obviously, bulk, which has been lurking for a long time, is included in that backlog, and this is added. The split payments is added as well. So they just need to be on the backlog so that we don't forget it. And obviously this process flow needs to be added onto the user story for this function.
Yeah, for sure.
Manzi, are you the person who's responsible for maintaining the backlog for this work stream? Or have you delegated it to someone else?
Yeah, I work with Sam to see how either me or someone can do it.
Yeah.
But so
That's,
far, I've not
my
updated
motivation here is
it.
increasing the spreading the skill set around this. So yeah.
Yeah, I will delegate someone within the team to do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because I don't think the backlog at the moment extends really beyond just getting PISP 2.0 basic working.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Manzi, if you share it with me, I will review the backlog as well.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Good. Thank you so much, Michael. So I'll work with Paul and Sam to see how we can enrich the backlog and see how we give priorities to what the already available teams can do. And like that, thank you so much. We'll share the summary and the video by the end of today. Thank you so much. See you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Manzi. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much.
Bye.
Bye.